What is up? This is that GTA fan 720, and to kind of just go along with the news because it's the relevant thing I've been talking about for the past couple weeks, there is a report that Samsung could be potentially releasing around the time of June refurbished Galaxy Note 7s. Now, there's a lot of places saying that this rumor has zero merit, but there's also a lot of big places like The Verge and Android Authority covering this news that because Samsung has 2.5 to 3.5 million. Actually, they probably don't have 3.5 million because that's like the total they sold. So they have about 2.5 to 3 million Galaxy Note 7 units that they took back from people, and now they've figured out what's wrong with them. They've known what's wrong with them for about a month. So what are they going to do with all these units? They have, not to mention the fact that so many stores and outlets like Walmart and different like places that sell phone accessories still to this day have unsold inventory of things like cases, screen protectors, all kinds of things designed for the Galaxy Note 7 that they never had any chance to get a refund on, as well as consumers who still have cases, screen protectors, all these kinds of things that they invested in their brand new Galaxy Note 7 that they then turned into a paperweight. They can't return it, and now it's useless. And Samsung wouldn't refund them on any of their accessories, which is why there's plenty of people that are still holding on to their Note 7s because they spent like hundreds of dollars in accessories that they have no way of getting the money back. So they literally would be losing a lot of money if they went to return their phone. And this could be breathing new life into them. Samsung is reportedly releasing a Galaxy Note 7 refurbished. So they're not going to be new. They're obviously not going to be you. They're going to be refurbished. However, we could see them with a very steep price drop, and they could be selling in certain developing markets. Hopefully, that could also include the US. Although, with the US's in flight travel ban on the Galaxy Note 7, there is a chance that that probably won't be well. Although, considering there have already been confirmed 96% of units, the FAA might just go ahead and say, okay, you know what? If these have been fixed, there's not even that many of the other ones out there anyway, and even then the likeliness of them exploding on a plane at this point after they've been out for months is probably not likely. They're either going to say that or they're going to say no. If it has the word Note 7, we don't want it. They're going to be extreme either way. They're either going to say yes or no when it comes to allowing the new refurbished Note 7s on a plane. Because, I mean, obviously, with their new 8-point battery safety check, this is obviously going to go in effect on the refurb Note 7s if they were actually to do this. Because even if it's something, because I guess this might be third time's the charm. Because obviously the first time around they exploded, the second time around they exploded a lot less, but still a couple of them exploded, so that ruined it. So they took it off the market, and no one is at least supposed to have a Galaxy Note 7, and no one will ever have a Galaxy Note 7. And I know I've been teasing this. I've been saying this is my Note 7, but it's a display unit. It's not an actual Note 7. If this was a Note 7, I would be using this Note 7, or at least I would be keeping it in the box and keeping it up on a shelf to collect it and have it be worth money. But it's just a display unit. It's not functional. The batteries don't press. The ports are fake. In fact, like if I can unplug this without, um, here is, like this isn't an iPhone 7. You can see the headphone jack. See the headphone jack? I try to plug in headphones. It stops because it's filled with plastic. I can't put it in any farther because it's filled with plastic on the inside. So this is a display unit. This isn't a real Note 7. But now at this point, I've been able to hold a Note 7 because obviously it's the same shape as the Note 7. And I gotta admit, Like when I got this display unit, I got this the same time I got my Note 5, because the Verizon guy gave me the display unit, which was very nice of him. Thank you again if you're watching this. I doubt you are, but if you are, thank you for this. And the Note 7, the design is very nice. So if they were to make, this is the one question I have though, is how would we go about getting this refurbished Note 7? Are they going to sell it through carriers? Because keep in mind, carriers stop, like all the major carriers, T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, and Sprint, all stopped carrying the Galaxy Note 7 before Samsung officially discontinued it. So around whenever Samsung stopped production on October 10th, and I believe most carriers stopped selling it around the 7th or the 8th of October 2016. So they stopped selling the Note 7 before Samsung even did. So they were not accepting new Note 7s. So if the carriers weren't accepting Note 7s, that time around, after Samsung had said they're safe, are the carriers even going to accept the refurb units? And if so, is this something that's going to be sold through Samsung? You might be thinking, oh, well, obviously they're going to sell them unlocked if they're refurbished. But keep in mind, how many of those Note 7s have branding for different carriers, like Verizon, AT&T, etc.? I believe Verizon and AT&T are the only ones that put carry brands. I believe Sprint and T-Mobile, I know T-Mobile don't put the tramp stamps on the back of the phones. But either way, you boot them up, they still say the carrier. So has Samsung, will they like scratch that off the plastic, and will they change it to where it's an unlocked phone? Will they only be selling them unlocked, or will they be selling the carrier bound version, but you still have to buy them through Samsung? I have a lot of questions about this. If this is really, I hope that this is something that they can actually do. Not just because, oh, it's the Note 7 and because I'm a Note fan, but the fact is that they have inventory, they have stock, they have these units that are made out of materials that you cannot just throw away. If 2.5 million of these devices are thrown away, that will make a massive amount of waste. And I, I'm kind of questioning why Samsung can't just recycle these and turn them into S7 Edges and S8s and stuff. But probably the materials, obviously they already have the shells and all the internals inside. So for their profit, it would make sense to make a limited production run of the Note 7. Granted, normal consumers obviously aren't going to buy it because it's pretty clear. I know consumers that literally are refusing to buy Samsung products, let alone the Note 7. So obviously, the only people that will buy the refurbished Note 7 will probably be people who either want to get into the Note line and get a cheaper device, or people who are fans of the Galaxy Note 7. People who are in like the Note 7 Rebels group who would want the chance to get the Note 7. And that's another thing, is that for those people who to this day are still holding on to their original or replacement Galaxy Note 7s, will they be able to do a clean swap with a refurb unit? Or will they have to do some kind of credit? Because many of them aren't returning their Note 7s because you, Samsung, haven't been faithful about giving out your policies, your refunds. There have been people who, during the original recall, returned their Note 7s, got the new one, but never got the credit for it. And to this day, have not gotten any credit for it. So obviously, there are going to be some people, when you're trying to recall 2.5 million devices, there's going to be a couple people who, let's be honest, get the shaft. But is this really something where you would be considered, especially if you're a fan of the Galaxy Notes, would you consider buying a refurbished Galaxy Note 7? I know I would if, and only if, the carriers would offer some kind of deal. Like, if they allowed me, it depends on how much this costs. Like, if you're going to sell a refurb Note 7 with a smaller battery, mind you, they said it's going to be 3,200 milliamp hours. And then some reports are saying 3,000. But the battery in my Note 5 is 3,000 milliamp hours, and it's been getting me by just fine. So even if this was 3,000 milliamp hours as opposed to like 3,500, I think it usually was, I would be fine with that. I'd rather have that than have the battery explode. But in all honesty, even if I had an original Note 7 and they weren't shutting them down, I would have no problem using it. It's just a matter of if they were guaranteed to not be worth anything in the future, I would, if I had a Note 7, I would use it because a 0.0001% chance of them exploding is the kind of odds that just aren't even worth considering. But and that is also the reason why I would have no problem buying one of these refurbished units without any second thought as far as safety goes. Because even the first time around and the second time around, I had no I have no reason to believe that my unit would have any heating issues. And if it does, if it's getting hot, you return it anyway. You know, like if you have a unit and it's getting hot while you're using it, you send it back. That's just how it is. You know, you have a defective unit and you get a replacement. However, again, this depends on the carrier. If Verizon somehow allows me to do a clean swap from my Note 5, because keep in mind, I just bought this less than 2 weeks ago, and and if I were to have bought this outright and not do the monthly plan, this would have cost me $714. So it if this Note 7, let's just say hypothetically this refurbished Note 7 cost 450, let's just say. But and honestly, Samsung, if you're gonna sell a refurbished Note 7 and you need to get rid of these, do not dare sell this over 500. You should be, if you do sell this, you should sell it for like 400. I would say like 429. I would say would be like the sweet spot. 429 for a refurbished Galaxy Note 7. I believe they only made a 64 gig variant. If they made a 128, then have that be like 449. How about that? And also, this probably would send some. It would kind of confuse the people who are still holding on to their Note 7s and like what happens with the updates, because updates have been sent out to the Note 7 to brick it and well, first to constrain the battery to 60%, which is essentially what they'll be doing anyway with the refurb units, only you can actually see that 100% bar without blocking the updates. And many of them have been bricked. So what's going to be the deal with that? Is it like if you have a bricked Note 7 that you haven't returned, will you still be able to exchange that for a refurb? There's a lot of questions that probably would be very hard to get answered. I'm honestly wondering if Samsung is really willing to take that risk, or if they're honestly just going to bite the bullet and dump all of them, which I honestly would not hate to see. Not just, again, not because I'm a fan of the Galaxy Notes, but because it'd be such a waste. Especially if there are people who are collectors who would legitimately pay a lot of money to own this phone again. Especially one that hasn't been bricked, or one where they don't have to go out of their way to brick it, or to not brick it, I should say. And this, but the concept does intrigue me. But at the same time, it just kind of, I'm going to be honest, it screws me over because I just bought the Note 5 and my dad just bought another Note 5. We both just got new Note 5s. So, like, what's the deal with that? Is there going to be like a grace period where anyone who bought a Galaxy Note uh, gets that? Or like, what if someone was going to buy the Note 7 but they wanted the S7 Edge? Or they bought the S7 Edge? It's like, will I be able to use my proof of purchase for this to be able to get a free clean swap for an already paid for Note 7? So then instead of continuing to pay this off over the months, I just have this and then it's just paid for? Or will Verizon then take a cut out of that and then, just like it was if it was a new phone? I don't know, in all honesty. Although I do still want this to happen. I don't, but Samsung, you handled the recall very poorly. Number one, you shouldn't have done the recall. You should have compensated the people who actually had effective units. You should have released software that would have allowed us to see if our specific battery in our specific phone was having issues. In that case, you should have offered us a clean swap from the get-go to a safe unit. And those should have been properly tested. This time around, I have faith that you will not have any issues. Because like I said, even in the original run, I would have no problem having a Note 7 and not bothering to return it. Especially at this point, unless again my unit specifically saw issues. But I'm probably repeating myself because I'm very confused about how this whole thing would work. But I would find a way if they have these refurbs, like if they sold them on Samsung's website, if there was some way I could get a hold of this and then, refund my Note 5 to Verizon, put this on Verizon, and then own the Note 7, then like own a refurb, and if they have a warranty. Samsung, I know they're going to be refurb, but you need to put a warranty on them. If you're actually serious about this, and you actually want to reissue the Note 7, you need to have a long warranty on it. And you need to first release it in selected markets first. I know again it's refurb, but you need to test the waters on top of your already internal testing. Because if even one of these refurbished units has a battery issue, even though that there have been plenty of S7s and S7 Edges in the past that have had heating issues, and those have been just thrown to the side because everyone wants to blame the Note 7. If even one of these has an issue, Samsung, you're done. That's one thing I'm worried about. If one of these units, if one person got a hold of one of these and it caught on fire or smoked or popped or shut off or stopped charging, anything. If one more photo of a Note 7 goes up where it's half melted to crap, you're done. And I'm worried about that. Because Samsung, you make great products. And you make very good products. I've got my Note 5, I've got my Note 2 that I got, although it's not really, it's just Wi-Fi. I haven't even activated it. I got this for free. And I have my old Note 3 that's now broken. I don't know. Would you guys in the comments, if Samsung released a refurbished Galaxy Note 7, I want to know, would you buy it? Or would you not want to risk it? Or would you even consider buying anything because of the S8 being right around the corner? Me personally, I was never interested in the Galaxy S series, and I continue to not be. Because if I'm going to buy a Samsung phone, I'm going to get the one that has a stylus because I use the stylus. If I don't need the stylus, I'm buying a phone by Motorola or Google. LG's been out, Apple's been out. But if I didn't use the S Pen and the big screen, the Quad HD screen, if I didn't use both those features extensively, I would have switched from Samsung. Again, not saying Samsung's a bad brand, but there are other products where in other departments they cater more to my personal needs as a consumer. But Samsung is the only one that has made a product that I can truly buy. I mean, again, they're expensive, so I don't really buy them, but you get my point. They're products that I would stand by and products that I would instantly recommend to someone. If someone recommended me, Chance, what is a good phablet? I say Galaxy Note 5. That's literally what I say. That's literally what I say. If someone asks me, Chance, what phone do you recommend? Galaxy Note 7. Aren't those that explode? Galaxy Note 5. Isn't that the one where you can't? Galaxy Note 4. Isn't that too? I don't know. Just buy one. That's literally how I am. Everyone asks me like, "Hey, what phone is that?" I still tell everyone this is a Note 7 because no one knows the difference. But if there comes a time I can get an actual Note 7, have USB-C, the new S Pen, the water resistance for one. Why we haven't had that in a Note is beyond me. I wish they made a Note 8 active. That would be good. But yeah, Samsung, if you do decide to in fact sell this refurbished Galaxy Note 7, I'd be all for it, but just don't screw this one up. Third time's a charm. Third time's a charm. But I just don't know. You cannot release them to the broad market. These need to be exclusive. This needs to be a hush deal. Normal consumers should not be allowed to walk into a store and buy it. Because if one of those people gets one of those devices and it explodes, you're done. Even if they fake it. Because I know many of those Note 7 stories have been fake, but also many of them have been true. 35 of them were confirmed real, and then out of the replacement units, as far as I know, none of them were real. So you might have actually fixed it the second time around. But either way, I would buy it. I would buy it in a heartbeat if I could. The refurbished Note 7. But again, if I can't fly with it, if I am spending a lot of money on it, and if there is no way that I can return my Note 5 to get the 7, then I can't. Then it's literally they're taunting me. Although since the 5 does now get the Nougat update, I am happy about that. So even though I have the 5, we'll still be supported along with the S7 and S7 Edge. So at least that's kind of one thing to where if you have a Note 5, even though it seems like you have an older phone, you're actually now getting more support than you would have if the Note 7 had continued to sell. So that is nice. I do appreciate that, Samsung, that you're not just dumping us who are Note users. Anyways, this is that GTA Fan 720 signing out. Hope you all have a good one. And let me know in the comments, would you guys ever consider buying a refurbished Galaxy Note 7? I know I would. Depends on the circumstances, of course. But would you guys consider it? Or would you guys just advise to wait for the S8 or the Note 8? Let me know in the comments below, and I hope you all have a good one.